feel like I'm in my living room. Not much here, but this is good. I feel like I'm among friends. But thanks for having me, Kenny. I think it's only been a couple of years since I've been able to address the quarterback club, but nevertheless, it's always fun. But sort of playing off, my son was recruited by Nick Saban, and I got to know Nick Saban when he was a secondary coach with Belichick. When Belichick was the head coach of Cleveland, I got to know those guys. And so I got to know Saban pretty well and have watched him and have been in some of his finer moments. But he has a hard time keeping coaches. When those guys go there, they don't stay there very long. I mean, they learn from him and you know, hey, other teams come in, other colleges come in there and they scoop them out of there just strictly because of that. But look, I'm very good friends with Orgeron. He was a strength coach at Arkansas when I, you know, late 80s, I don't know, 80s, but I got to know him before he went to Miami and then that whole thing. And look, he's the kind of guy that, first of all, he's a terrific coordinator. It doesn't matter where you are, where you came from, who you are. He's comfortable coming into your family's home and he'll get you to go, at least get a good look at where you're going to go if he's interested in you. And the good part about it is he not only motivates the young guys, but those young guys gravitate towards that kind of guy. And I texted him Saturday night and I said, look, you know, rough day at the office, brother. I said, but it's hard. It's a hard lesson to learn when you get your ass kicked like that, bad. But at the same time, you want to look in the mirror and you want to say, this is what we want to play like, and this is what we want to be. And you have to be on the end of that to sort of see that firsthand. So if he plays it right, and I know he will, and if he's got the right kind of character kids, they'll respond to this and they'll say, we've got to step our game up and become better players because we saw what it looks like to be that better player. And then once he gets to do that, and then to come to after your question, you know, how do you protect Louisiana? Look, until you get to that level, you can't do it. So Saban will always come in here and he'll take the pick of the litter, like you said. And until that point to where everybody says, no, LSU's got a thing going on just as well. And they're real close. I will tell you this, that LSU is a lot closer than they are far away from being at. That's a good sign. That's a great sign. So, but anyway, I'll get on to, yeah, sure.
How do you think this game affects tomorrow?
Look, from what I can tell, he's a pretty tough-minded kid. And I think he probably realizes, too, that, hey, this was where the game is won and lost at the line of scrimmage, and we got destroyed. And I think he's going to have to rally around those guys and say that, look, I'm still here, and I know you guys can do it. And I think, yeah, I think it's just a trust factor that he's going to have with him. I think he responds well to it. I don't think it's, you know, he didn't get beat up too bad, you know, so he should be, you know, he should respond well to it. I think, and I'm sure those guys will get in that way as well. But let me sort of get off what I do, and I've been with WWL now doing some analyst work, NFL analyst work for this is my 14th year doing that. And so how I able to sort of to get the information that I do is I want to make sure that I'm prepared when I'm talking on the radio, so what I'm saying is not, you know, sometimes it's my opinion, but a lot of times it's not. Sometimes it's based on fact and what I see is going on in it. So what I do is I watch each and every week, and I watch all the games, and I watch them in an end zone view, a tight end zone view, because when you're an offensive lineman, a weird offensive lineman, that's the way you look at football games. You see things from the end zone. Okay, so I'm always able to look at down and distance. I'm able to look at situations, and I'm also able to look at defensive formations. So what kind of defensive fronts they're in all the time, and I can pretty much glean from that information after watching games of the Rams for the last 5 or 6 weeks. You know, what the players are doing and what the players are and what formations they're in and the guys that are giving us problems. So when you look at sort of what happened on Sunday, look, the Rams were a great football team. I mean, a great football team. And in all phases, offensive, defensively, special teams, everything, they're right there with us. And so this was going to be the two biggest bullies on the block Sunday, and we saw what happened. And I think when you see the offensive line that we had and how they graded against that front four of the Rams, particularly was pretty special, because that front four, Aaron Donald could ruin your day. You can wreck him. He's like a Lawrence Taylor, but he's moved into the inside. I mean, you have to know where he is. You have to account for him all the time. Dominic Sue's another guy that was, other than, he creates a lot of problems from the inside, and he became just really sort of a starting defensive tackle in the league, which is great, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't a disruptor, and I think that goes a long way. Dan Rauscher and his offensive line coach there, the Saints, and that group of guys, I got to know because I'm able to help coach those guys in mini camps in June. Sean lets me come out there and coach those guys in mini camps in June. So I'm able to get to really know these guys and watch them firsthand, again, be in the locker room with them, that type of stuff. And they had a problem, and the problem was we had 16 guys in that offensive line room, and they only keep 8, and there was about 10 that should be starters. You've got a problem. So that's a good problem to have, but nonetheless, we know how that is, and I think last year we only had, 4 games where we played with all 5 starting guys in their positions. It's a patchwork thing that's going on all the time because of injuries and whatnot. So each and every week you see those guys out there doing what they're doing, and you don't see really any mental errors, and they're blocking up guys like this. That game is won and lost, that line of scrimmage, and they made that defensive look. They weren't a factor. They weren't a factor at all. So that 7-1 record is unbelievable. Be proud of that, just from the standpoint of this is a good snapshot halfway through the season as to where the Saints are. Pretty good team, because we beat a really good team. And it wasn't by joke, it wasn't anything else. And people say, oh yeah, but the third quarter was, a wreck. No, that, you have to give the Rams credit. that team came back and was fighting their guts out and trying to get back in the ballgame, and they did. They got it back to 35-35 score. That's kudos to those guys. But so anyway, so what I'm able to do at that point is and then I kind of grade everything, and I look at the offensive line and how they graded and how they did each and every week. We have the #1 offensive line in the league. Now I'm not biased, because there's other times that there's other teams that have better offensive lines than what they do. But I can tell you that by and large, this team each and every week, this offensive line each and every week is 1, 2, or 3, and it's interchangeable at all points. They're that good. So that's a good thing, because that is the engine that drives this thing. As good as Drew Brees is, he got hit a couple of times, but he does not get bothered. We kept him clean. Our running backs, with the two-headed monster that we have there, and really the emergence of Kamara and the things he's done, pretty remarkable stuff. I gotta tell you a story about Kamara. I was standing next to him in the mini camp, and I was like, watching the other line guys come up, and he was standing next to me. And I looked down, and I sort of hit him, and he looked at me, and I said, you're the only guy I know that I've been in football for all these years that has diamond-encrusted cleats. I said, I couldn't get away with it, but you can. So, if you ever saw this, you'd be amazed. Diamond-encrusted cleats. But he can practice in those. He can't play those, but he can practice in those. But anyway, so I look at the power rankings each and every week, and I come up with my own, and really they're kind of close. And really the Saints, they're #1 in the league right now as far as power and what they have going on. Our strength of schedule is incredible. I mean, who we have in the next few weeks is again, we're not getting a break. It's unbelievable who we play and who we play already. We've already beaten all of the really #1. The teams that are #1 in their divisions that we've played, we've already beaten them. And so we're going into the second half of the season, but yet we still have Carolina, who to me got ranked 5th. We got them twice, and we know that's a problem. Atlanta looks like they're starting to come on, which is always a problem. And I always wonder about how the NFL knows this, that they put the Carolina games back to back almost in the last 2 weeks of the season with one game in between, to say that they know that that's going to happen. I mean, Carolina's 6-2. They're 1 game behind us. As good as we played, you'd think we'd be miles ahead of everybody, but we're not. Steelers are still in the picture offensively. KC, obviously, I think is #2. The Rams, who we just beat, are number 3. The Patriots are number 4. So we're putting ourselves in a pretty good frame of mind at this point, and putting ourselves in a pretty good position. So other than that, I can certainly ask her any questions that you may have about sort of what's going on, or you know, what you see in the next little bit, or yeah.
Hey, you kind of talked about it, but I bet when you were watching that LSU-Alabama game and how Alabama was so dominant on the offensive side line,
Yeah.
I mean, their line's offensive line was so dominant, and their defensive line was so dominant. I'm sure you appreciated that. Just like the Saints line was pretty dominant in that Rams game, and
Yeah.
their defensive line was pretty
Sure.
good. To hold that running back to 68 yards rushing and only 11 receiving, that's pretty good. He's a pretty awesome running back. So,
Look, there's no question. I watched Saturday night like everybody else did, and
it was pretty obvious.
That was a clinic, yeah, and you can see where the game is won and lost.
Exactly.
And I tell people all the time, look, you can have Drew Brees and you can have Earl Campbell and Eric Dickerson and everybody you can imagine. There's the greatest special guys in the world, but unless you block up some people and do it with a certain frame of mind, physical and mental toughness, it doesn't work. And it's still one of the things that is the root of winning and losing in football is the line of scrimmage.
And when you were in Arkansas, your head coach, his son is doing real good at Louisiana Tech. Lou Holtz's
It's
son.
another pretty good coaching lineage there. I mean, Arkansas had a bunch of really good coaches come through there when I was there. Pete Carroll was there for a while. I mean, there was Jimmy Johnson. I mean, I could their name a gazillion of them that went through that. Either Frank Broyles or Lou Holtz regime while they were there.
You still keep in touch with the people up at Arkansas? Because I'm worried that they're doing so bad this year, they might come get Skip and try to hire him.
Yeah, look, they're awful right now. They're awful right now. But and again, that's one. I don't understand why they don't. And they can raise $1 billion with two boosters, you know, between Walton and Tyson and Jones Truck Lines or whatever, or Reynolds Aluminum, whatever. They can raise billions of dollars with a couple of phone calls. I don't understand why they don't to get a coach that's a little bit more seasoned. But again, I'm not. They don't ask me, but I still do keep I still keep in touch with Coach Holtz, and I keep in touch with the offensive line coach. But other than that, I haven't been to Fayetteville except for a handful of times for commemorative things. But other than that, it's a beautiful area. I'd love to go back, but it's long enough way away too that I just can't whip up there for a weekend. Yeah.
With 75 in contract, who do you see on the O-line that could step in? And if you see someone, do you think they'll let him go?
You know, it's so tricky now because of the money. You know, and again, Andrus played really, really well Sunday. You know, coming off the Achilles and everything like that, and he had sort of been struggling a little bit coming, spot playing him from in and out like that, and he really did a great job against Aaron Donald, the best defensive down lineman in the league, hands down. Stuffed him. I mean, had some rough times with him, but okay, so what? You know, that happens. But I don't know. There's guys now that obviously they like to develop when they bring in, and we've got a bunch of young guys that are in there right now that they see that obviously they've kept them around for a reason. So in my mind, they develop those guys and they want to keep them. But you don't hear much about them. I mean, even guys that are the starters now, you don't hear much about Teron Armstead and how good he is. The only time you hear about him is when he gets hurt. He's the number 2 ranked left tackle in the league behind Jason Peters. I mean, yeah. And then Larry Warford is incredible what he did. He's been doing that. He just doesn't make any noise about it. And of course, Ryan Ramczyk's like the quietest guy in the world. Yeah, and it's incredible. So we have some guy, and Max is still playing pretty well. He's not as physical as he used to be because he's getting older, but at the same time he's getting it done. So our front 5 and really our starting 5 plus 2 additional guys that they have to rotate in there, doing a great job. Great job. But I don't know how they're going to situate. It always depends on money and that kind of situation. This whole thing, for instance, this year, when Gruden came back, I thought, oh man, John Gruden's good. He's a good football coach from what I can remember, but he's been out of the game for 10 years. Yeah, he's been following it closely enough, but man, he came in and thinking that he was going to be the kind of John Gruden of old, and he has sort of failed, in my mind, to develop and associate with these kind of athletes these days, because he's blowing that thing up down there, and I can't imagine what in the world happened with getting rid of maybe the first or second best pass rusher in the league. But again, that's for another day, another story. But yeah, you got to be flexible. But yeah.
Sean Payton the best offensive game
If he's not, he's certainly one of them. Absolutely. Look, he's creative as he could be. And, I'll give you an example. Taysom Hill. I call him timeout Taysom, because every time he goes in, the defensive coordinator team says, timeout, we haven't seen it. He's doing something else. What's he going to do now? And I think it's sort of he's like a Swiss Army knife. This guy can do so many different things. And each and every week, I think Sean gets kind of crazy, thinking, okay, this is great. We're going to do this week with him. And this is, I don't ever know what he's going to do. And it's intriguing to see all the different things he's going to do with him, and he's having fun with it. I think the same thing happening with Andy Reid, with Mahomes, and the way that kid's playing at quarterback up there is incredible, and the toolbox he has up there to work with. You can see these guys are just having a lot of fun. Yeah. Anybody else? Thanks.